Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins All World, where we dig deep into the world of rare and valuable coins. If you're a fan of numismatics, or just curious about how an old penny might be worth a fortune, then you're in the right place today. In this video, we're uncovering one of the most fascinating and often overlooked coins in American history, the 1963 United States 1-cent coin with a special mint mark. Stick with us until the end, because we've got a shocking revelation about just how much this little penny could be worth today. Host, at first glance, the 1963 penny looks just like any other copper coin. But as you'll soon see, it's anything but ordinary. This little gem has a story to tell and a value that will blow your mind. Let's dive into its history, design, and most importantly, its worth in today's market. Background images of the U.S. Mint and the coin production process in the 1960s. Host, the 1963 penny was produced during an important time in U.S. history. The country was in the midst of the post-World War II economic boom, with the 1960s marking an era of rapid expansion in technology, culture, and international influence. This penny was minted as part of the iconic Lincoln cent series, which had been circulating since 1909. Close-up shot of the Lincoln cent. Host, designed by the famous sculptor Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln cent was introduced to honor the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. On the obverse, we see a portrait of Lincoln, facing right, with the inscription, "In God We Trust, Liberty, and the Year of Minting, 1963. On the reverse, the familiar image of a simple wheat stalk appears with E pluribus unum and 1 cent. Zoom out and the host picks up the 1963 penny. Host, but while most people see this as just another penny, there's more to it than meets the eye. The key to its value lies in a small detail, the mint mark. Cut to a close-up of a penny with an D mint mark. Host, now, if you've been collecting coins for any length of time, you probably know that U.S. coins feature a mint mark indicating where they were produced. In 1963, there were three main mints that struck coins: the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. Most of the 1963 pennies that were produced bore the D mint mark, signifying they were minted in Denver. But here's the thing, the 1963 penny that could be worth a small fortune is the one without a mint mark, the one struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Cut to a shot of a 1963 penny with no mint mark. Host, you see, while most 1963 pennies were minted in Denver, only a small number were produced in Philadelphia without a mint mark. This creates a situation where those no mint mark pennies are extremely rare, and rarity is the key to value in the world of coin collecting. Host holds up an example of a well-preserved 1963 penny. Host, now, let's talk about the condition of these coins. Like any collectible, the better the condition, the higher the value. Most 1963 pennies have been circulated heavily, which means they show signs of wear and tear, scratches, discoloration, and even some corrosion over the years. Zoom in on a well-worn penny, then compare with a flawless one. Host, but if you happen to have one of these rare 1963 no mint mark pennies in exceptional condition, let's say, uncirculated or in what's known as proof-like condition, you're sitting on a real treasure. Coins in mint state are what collectors pay top dollar for. Cut to the host pulling out a pristine 1963 penny. Host, these pristine pennies, when kept in the right conditions and protected from the elements, have the potential to be worth much more than their face value. But here's the kicker, these coins aren't just rare because of their mint mark, they're valuable because of the overall demand among collectors. Cut to a graph showing the rise in coin prices over the last few years. Host, now, I know what you're thinking, isn't it just a penny? Why would a penny from 1963 be worth thousands of dollars? Well, the answer is in the collector's market. Rare coins from specific years, especially those with unique minting errors or variations, become highly sought after. This demand pushes up the value significantly, especially if the coin is in high-grade condition. Show a clip of a coin auction, with bidders raising paddles. Host, in fact, 1963 no mint mark pennies have been sold at auction for staggering prices, and the value is only going up as more collectors recognize how rare they are. The combination of rarity, condition, and collector demand makes this penny a true gem. Cut to host with a suspenseful tone. Host: so, you've been patiently waiting for the big reveal. How much is this little penny worth today? If you happen to own one of these rare 1963 no-mint mark pennies in uncirculated or near-perfect condition, are you ready for this? Pause for dramatic effect. Host: smiling, hold on tight, because this small coin could fetch up to $33,000. Yes, that's right, $33,000 for a single penny. Can you believe that? A coin that started out worth just 1 cent could now be worth a small fortune. Cut to a close-up of the penny, then fade into the host smiling at the camera. Host: imagine stumbling upon one of these hidden treasures in your collection, or even in your pocket change. It just goes to show that you never know what hidden gems are out there waiting to be discovered. Host: well, there you have it, folks. The 1963 no-mint mark penny is more than just a piece of history, it's a potentially lucrative treasure for collectors. So, if you've got one of these lying around in your collection or you happen to come across one, take a closer look. It might just be worth a small fortune. Host leans in, smiling. Host: thanks for watching. Today, we've got an exciting treasure hunt in store for you. What if I told you that a simple penny from 1972 could be worth thousands of dollars? Well, buckle up because we're about to uncover the mystery behind the 1972 US 1-cent coin, and you'll want to stick around until the end to hear just how much it could be worth today. Host holds up a 1972 penny and zooms in for a close-up shot. Host: at first glance, the 1972 penny might look like any other coin you'd find in your pocket change, but there's a hidden gem in this piece of American history. So, grab your magnifying glass and let's take a closer look at what makes the 1972 1-cent coin so special. Cut to historical footage of the 1970s, cars, fashion, and important events of the era. Host: let's set the stage. The year 1972 was a time of change and excitement in the United States. The country was going through a period of economic adjustment after the 1960s, and the 1970s were marked by significant political, social, and technological changes. In fact, the 1970s saw the rise of the counterculture movement, the end of the Vietnam War, and the beginning of the space age with the Apollo missions. Cut to a close-up of the 1972 penny, with soft background music. Host: amidst all of this cultural shift, the U.S. Mint was busy producing coins, including the familiar Lincoln cent. The 1972 penny is part of the Lincoln series, which had been circulating since 1909. The design is simple yet iconic. On the obverse, we have President Abraham Lincoln's profile, with the inscription, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the year 1972. On the reverse, we see the classic image of the Lincoln Memorial, along with the phrase, E pluribus unum and 1 cent close-up of a 1972 penny with an D mint mark, and then one with no mint mark. Host: now, here's where it gets interesting. Like many U.S. coins, the 1972 penny comes with a mint mark that tells you where it was produced. The U.S. Mint has 3 main facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Most 1972 pennies were struck at the Denver Mint and have the familiar D mint mark. Others were produced at the Philadelphia Mint, and some, like the special proof coins, were minted in San Francisco. Cut to a zoom-in shot of a 1972 penny without a mint mark. Host: but the key to the 1972 penny's value lies in a rare variation, a small detail that most people might miss. Some 1972 pennies were struck with a special variety of minting error, which we'll get to in just a moment. Cut to footage of a coin being examined with a magnifying glass. Host: so here's where the real magic happens. If you've ever heard of a double die error in coin collecting, then you're already onto something big. The 1972 penny is famous for its double die variety, specifically the 1972 double die obverse. This error occurred when the coin was struck with a die that had been misaligned, resulting in the appearance of multiple strikes of the design, making certain areas of the coin appear doubled. It's a rare phenomenon that collectors go wild for. Zoom in on the 1972 double-die penny with a magnifying glass, highlighting the doubled elements. Host, you'll notice the most obvious doubling on the word Liberty and the date, 1972. In fact, if you look closely, you'll see a distinct second image of the letters and numbers, almost like a shadow effect. This double-die error is what makes the 1972 penny so unique, and it's also what makes it so valuable. Host leans in with an excited expression, holding the penny up to the camera. Host, so, how much could this seemingly ordinary penny from 1972 be worth? Well, the value of a 1972 double-die penny depends largely on its condition. Most of these coins were circulated, and they've experienced wear and tear over the years. But if you happen to have a 1972 double-die penny in mint condition, or even one that's uncirculated, you could be sitting on a gold mine. Cut to footage of an auction house with bidders raising their paddles. Host, in recent years, the 1972 double-die penny has become a hot commodity at auctions. Coins in near-perfect condition, or those graded MS 65 or higher, that's mint state, folks, have sold for some impressive amounts. In fact, a few lucky collectors have walked away with tens of thousands of dollars for a single penny. Cut to a shot of a coin slab with a 1972 double-die penny inside, being examined by a professional. Host, but here's the big surprise: if you have a pristine 1972 double-die penny, it could be worth a jaw-dropping $37,000. Yes, you heard me right, $37,000 for a single penny. Pause for dramatic effect. Host, smiling, that's a lot of change for something that started off as just 1 cent. But remember, this is no ordinary coin, it's a rare error coin that collectors are actively searching for, and that rarity drives the price sky high. Cut to shots of coin collectors examining their collections with enthusiasm. Host, why is the 1972 double-die penny so desirable? Well, as with most rare coins, the combination of rarity, demand, and condition plays a huge role in its value. The double-die error is extremely difficult to find, and the coins that have been preserved in excellent condition are even rarer. Collectors prize these coins because of the historical significance, the error itself, and the fact that they stand out as unique pieces of numismatic history. Cut to a coin collector talking excitedly about their 1972 double-die penny. Host, and let's not forget, coin collecting is all about the thrill of the hunt. Finding one of these 1972 pennies, especially in great condition, is like striking gold. It's that kind of excitement that makes coin collecting so fascinating. Host sits back, looking pleased. Host, so, are you ready for the big reveal? If you've got a 1972 double-die penny in your collection, or you happen to come across one in your pocket change, you could be holding something worth a lot more than just 1 cent. Cut to a close-up of the penny again. Host, grinning, that's right, folks. A well-preserved 1972 double-die penny could be worth as much as $37,000. Pause to let it sink in. Host, that's a staggering amount for a penny, isn't it? Who would have thought that something so small could hold so much value? Host stands up, smiling at the camera. Host, well, there you have it. Another amazing coin discovery that could turn your change jar into a treasure chest. If you've got a 1972 penny, be sure to check it closely for that double-die error. You might just have a rare and valuable gem on your hands. Today, we have an exciting and eye-opening video for you. Did you know that a simple penny from 1973 could be worth thousands of dollars? Sounds unbelievable, right? Well, stick with us as we take a deep dive into the 1973 US 1-cent coin and discover why it could be worth up to $42,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. Host holds up a 1973 penny and zooms in for a close-up shot. Host, now, I know what you're thinking, it's just a penny from the 1970s. How could it possibly be worth that much? Well, prepare to be amazed because this little coin has a fascinating story and a price tag that'll knock your socks off. Let's dig in and find out why the 1973 1-cent coin is so valuable. Cut to historical footage of the 1970s, cars, fashion, and major events of the time. Host, let's start with some background. The year 1973 was a significant one in U.S. history. It was a time of political and social change, as the country dealt with the aftermath of the Vietnam War and saw the rise of environmental and civil rights movements. In the world of economics, 1973 marked the start of the oil crisis, which would lead to a global recession. Cut to a close-up of a 1973 penny, with soft background music. Host, amid all this, the U.S. Mint was busy producing coins, including the iconic Lincoln cent. The Lincoln penny has been around since 1909 and, by 1973, had already become an essential part of the American currency system. The design features the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, with the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the year, 1973. On the reverse, we see the well-known image of the Lincoln Memorial, along with the words, E pluribus unum and 1 cent. Cut to close-up shots of pennies from different mints. Host, now, as with any U.S. coin, the mint mark tells you where it was made. For the 1973 penny, there are two possible mint marks, D for the Denver Mint, and the absence of a mint mark, which means the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Most 1973 pennies were minted in Denver and carry the D mark. Cut to the host holding a 1973 penny with a D mint mark, then zooming in on the absence of a mint mark on another coin. Host, however, some of these pennies were struck in Philadelphia without a mint mark, and here's where things get interesting. While most people assume these pennies are just your typical 1-cent coins, there are certain rare close-up of a penny under magnification, showing the double die error. Host, let me introduce you to the game changer, the 1973 double die error. This happens when a coin is struck by a die that has been improperly aligned, resulting in a doubled design. Essentially, you get two versions of the design on the coin, one slightly offset from the other. This is what we call a double die error, and it can be a true treasure for coin collectors. Zoom in on the Liberty and In God We Trust areas of a 1973 double die penny. Host, in the case of the 1973 penny, these double strikes are most noticeable on the inscriptions, Liberty and In God We Trust. The doubling effect creates a unique visual, almost like a shadow behind the letters. But finding one of these errors in mint condition is incredibly rare, and that rarity is exactly what drives the price up. Cut to the host examining a 1973 double die penny under a magnifying glass. Host, now, just like with any rare coin, condition plays a huge role in how much a coin is worth. The 1973 double die penny in pristine, uncirculated condition can fetch a fortune. Why? Because these errors are often quite subtle and difficult to spot, especially on coins that have been heavily circulated. Over the years, most of these pennies have been used in everyday transactions, which means they've suffered from wear and tear. Cut to a side-by-side comparison of a worn 1973 penny in a pristine, well-preserved 1973 double die penny. Host, but a penny in excellent condition, without scratches, discoloration, or damage, can make all the difference. If you find a 1973 double die penny that's been well preserved, you're looking at a coin that's not just rare but also highly collectible. Cut to footage of collectors flipping through their coin albums, excitedly pointing out rare finds. Host, why are collectors so passionate about the 1973 double die penny? Well, part of the appeal is the rarity. The 1973 double die error is not as common as other coin varieties, which makes it highly sought after in the numismatic world. Collectors know that finding one of these coins is a stroke of luck, and when they do, they're willing to pay top dollar for it. Cut to an auction scene with bidders raising their paddles. Host, plus, the historical significance of these coins makes them even more attractive. The 1973 penny was struck during a period of great change in the U.S., and owning a piece of that history is something that many collectors value. Host leans in, looking excited. Host, so, now the big question, how much could a 1973 double die penny be worth? Well, as you might expect, the value depends on a few factors, such as the condition of the coin and how clearly the doubling is visible. Cut to a close-up of the penny with clear doubling visible. Host, coins in pristine, uncirculated condition have sold for incredible prices at auctions, with collectors eager to get their hands on these rare gems. If you're lucky enough to own one of these 1973 double-die pennies in excellent shape, you could be sitting on a real treasure. Host pauses dramatically. Host, are you ready for the big reveal? A well-preserved 1973 double-die penny could be worth up to $42,000. That's right, $42,000 for a single penny. Host smiles, looking amazed. Host, can you believe that? For a coin that started off as just 1 cent, it could now be worth a small fortune. Host stands up, smiling at the camera. Host, well, there you have it, folks. If you've got a 1973 penny, be sure to check it closely for that double-die error. You might just have a rare coin that could fetch tens of thousands of dollars. As always, remember that condition is key, and collectors are always on the lookout for well-preserved coins with unique features. Host waves at the camera. Host, thanks for tuning in. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date with all our coin discovery videos. Until next time, happy collecting and good luck hunting those hidden treasures. Today's video is one you won't want to miss. I'm talking about a coin that many of you might have sitting in your collection or even in your change jar, the 1978 US 1-cent coin. It's just a penny, right? Well, stick around because this penny could be worth $46,000. Yes, you heard me right, $46,000, and we're going to explain why. Host holds up a 1978 penny with a confident smile. Host, at first glance, the 1978 penny might seem like any other coin, but trust me, there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. Let's take a closer look at the history and value of this fascinating piece of US currency. Cut to vintage footage of the 1970s, cars, fashion, and significant events. Host, before we talk about the value of the 1978 penny, let's step back in time to understand the context. The year 1978 was a time of cultural change, marked by political shifts and the rise of the disco era. Meanwhile, the U.S. Mint was hard at work producing one of America's most iconic coins, the Lincoln cent. These pennies, first introduced in 1909, have been a staple of U.S. currency for over a century. By 1978, they were already a familiar part of everyday life. Cut to a close-up of the 1978 penny, with soft background music. Host, the design of the 1978 penny hasn't changed much since its inception. On the obverse, we see the well-known portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the year, 1978. On the reverse side, there's the classic image of the Lincoln Memorial, which has been the standard for pennies since 1959. Cut to close-up shots of pennies with different mint marks. Host, now, let's talk about the mint mark. For most U.S. coins, the mint mark tells you where the coin was produced. The 1978 penny was minted at both the Denver and Philadelphia mints. If the coin has a D mint mark, it was produced in Denver. If it has no mint mark, it was made in Philadelphia. These mint marks are important for collectors, as they can influence a coin's value depending on the rarity of the minting facility used. Cut to the host holding a 1978 penny with a D mint mark and another without a mint mark. Host, so, you might be wondering, what's so special about the 1978 penny? Is it the design? The mint mark? Well, while most of these pennies were produced in large quantities, there's one major factor that can make certain 1978 pennies worth a significant amount of money. And that's where the real story begins. Cut to a close-up of the 1978 penny under a magnifying glass, with a spotlight on the coin's surface. Host, here's where things get exciting. While most 1978 pennies are relatively common, there are some rare varieties and errors that can make them worth big bucks. The most valuable 1978 pennies are the ones with a special minting error known as the double-die error. Zoom in on a penny with the "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" inscriptions clearly showing a doubling effect. Host: the double die error occurs when a coin is struck by a die that is slightly misaligned during the minting process. This results in a doubling of the design, which is most noticeable on the inscriptions, like the word "Liberty" and the phrase, "In God We Trust." The doubling effect creates a shadow or ghost image of the letters, which is what makes this error so fascinating and so valuable. Cut to the host holding a magnifying glass, examining a 1978 double die penny. Host: now, here's why these double die error coins are so valuable. Most 1978 pennies were produced in huge quantities, and many of them were used in daily transactions. Over the years, most of these pennies have been worn down, damaged, or lost. Finding a 1978 penny in excellent condition, especially one with a clear doubling error, is rare, which is why these coins are so highly sought after by collectors. Cut to an auction scene where coins are being bid on with a high-priced tag. Host: because of the rarity of these double die error pennies, they have become highly coveted by coin collectors and numismatists alike. Coins in good condition, especially those that are uncirculated or graded at higher levels, can fetch incredible prices at auctions. Host leans in with excitement, holding a well-preserved 1978 penny with the double die effect. Host: now, the million-dollar question: how much could a 1978 penny with the double die error be worth? Well, like most rare coins, the value depends on the condition of the coin and the prominence of the doubling effect. Cut to a comparison of a worn 1978 penny and a mint-condition 1978 double die penny. Host: a 1978 double die penny in worn condition might be worth a few $100s, but if you have one that's in near-perfect or uncirculated condition, well, that's where things get really interesting. A 1978 double die penny in excellent condition could be worth $46,000. That's right, $46,000 for a single penny. Pause to let it sink in. Host: imagine finding a coin like that in your collection, or maybe even in your pocket change. That's a life-changing amount for a coin that was minted over 40 years ago. Cut to footage of collectors discussing their finds and flipping through coin albums. Host: why is this coin so appealing to collectors? First, it's the rarity of the error. Double die errors are not something you come across every day, and the 1978 penny is one of the more desirable varieties for enthusiasts. Second, it's the historical significance. This coin was struck during a time of political and economic change in the US, and owning a piece of that history is a major draw for collectors. Cut to a coin dealer talking about the importance of rare coins. Host: and of course, there's the thrill of the hunt. Coin collectors love the excitement of searching for rare and valuable coins, and finding a 1978 double die penny is like hitting the jackpot. Host looks directly at the camera with a grin. Host: so, now that you know the story behind this rare and valuable coin, let's talk numbers. If you have a 1978 penny with a double die error, especially one that's in near-perfect condition, it could be worth an astonishing $46,000. Pause for dramatic effect. Host: that's right, $46,000 for a single penny. And that's no joke. If you're lucky enough to have one of these in your collection or find one in circulation, you might just be holding a small fortune in your hands. Host smiles and waves at the camera. Host: well, that's all for today's video. I hope you found this information as exciting as I did. The world of rare coins is full of surprises, and you never know what treasure might be hiding in your change jar or coin collection. Be sure to check your 1978 pennies closely for those double die errors. You never know, you could be sitting on a goldmine. Today, we're talking about a coin that may seem common at first glance, but it holds a secret that could make it worth a small fortune: the 1982 US 1-cent coin. Yep, that's right, the penny. But don't be fooled by its humble appearance, because this penny could be worth $49,000. You're going to want to stick around to find out how. Host holds up a 1982 penny, giving the camera a knowing smile. Host: let's jump right into it and uncover the surprising value behind this little coin. Cut to black and white footage of the early 1980s, scenes of American life, music, and major events. Host, before we dive into its value, let's take a quick trip back in time to 1982. It was a year of significant change in the US. It was the final year that the penny was made primarily of copper before the mint switched to a copper-plated zinc alloy. This was a huge change, prompted by the rising cost of copper, which made the pennies much more expensive to produce. Cut to a shot of a pile of copper pennies. Host, in 1982, the US Mint produced millions of pennies in two different metal compositions, the copper version and the new copper-plated zinc version. This was also the year that the iconic Lincoln Memorial design, which had been in circulation since 1959, was still being used on the reverse side of the penny. But as we'll see, what really makes these 1982 pennies special lies in their metal composition and a specific error that occurred during their minting. Cut to a close-up of the 1982 penny, showing both a copper and zinc version. Host, now, here's where things start to get interesting. As I mentioned, 1982 marked the transition year when the US Mint switched from using mostly copper to using a copper-plated zinc core for pennies. The change was so significant that both versions of the 1982 penny exist. So, how do you know which one you've got? It's actually pretty simple. Host points to a scale and shows the two pennies side by side. Host, if you've got a penny that weighs about 3.11 grams, you're holding the original copper version of the 1982 penny. On the other hand, if your penny weighs 2.5 grams, it's the newer zinc version. The difference in metal composition is important because it can affect both the appearance and the value of the coin. Camera zooms in on a penny under a magnifying glass. Host, here's where things really get exciting. The 1982 penny isn't just valuable because of its metal composition. There's a specific error that makes this coin highly sought after by collectors, the double die error. Cut to an animation showing how a double die error happens, with the design on the penny appearing double or offset. Host, double die error occurs when the coin's design is struck twice, causing the image to appear doubled or slightly offset. The doubling usually happens with the text or images, like the word liberty or in God we trust. On the 1982 penny, these double die errors are particularly rare, and when you find one in good condition, it can really increase the coin's value. Host shows a close-up of a 1982 penny with a clear double die effect on the word liberty. Host, take a look at this one. You can clearly see the doubling effect on the word liberty, which makes it a highly desirable piece for collectors. If you have a 1982 penny like this, with the double die error and in good condition, you might be sitting on a small fortune. Cut to a shot of a professional coin dealer inspecting a penny with a loupe. Host, so why exactly are these 1982 double die pennies so valuable? Well, the rarity of the error is the big factor here. While millions of 1982 pennies were minted, only a small number of them had the double die error. What makes this error so special is that it happened during a transition year when the mint was shifting to a new metal composition. So, finding one in top-notch condition is a rare occurrence. Cut to footage of a coin auction with bidders raising their paddles. Host, collectors absolutely love these double die errors because they're unique, and they can significantly increase the value of a coin. The more pristine the condition of the coin, the more desirable it becomes. As these errors become harder to find, their price keeps climbing, especially if they've been well preserved. Cut to the host holding a pristine 1982 double die penny under a bright light. Host, now, here's the part you've all been waiting for. How much could a 1982 penny with a double die error be worth? Well, the value of these coins can vary depending on the severity of the doubling, the condition of the coin, and whether it's graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. Host shows examples of graded 1982 double die pennies. Host, uncirculated 1982 double die pennies can be worth anywhere from a few $1,000s to tens of thousands of dollars, depending on their condition and demand in the market. In fact, one of these rare and beautifully preserved 1982 double die pennies could be worth $49,000. Host smiles, holding up a pristine 1982 double die penny. Host, that's right, $49,000 for a single penny. Now, imagine finding one of these in your pocket change or in your old coin collection. That's a life-changing amount of money for a coin that most people would overlook. Cut to a tutorial-style segment where the host shows how to examine a 1982 penny for the double die error. Host: if you're wondering how to identify these valuable pennies, here's a quick guide. First, take a close look at the inscriptions on the coin: Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date. If you notice any doubling, especially on the letters, that's a good sign that you found a double die error. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to inspect the fine details. Also, remember the weight difference between the copper and zinc versions of the 1982 penny. This could give you an idea of which type of coin you're dealing with. Cut to a scene of a coin collector flipping through a coin album. Host: coin collecting is all about the thrill of the hunt. You never know what treasure might be hiding in your collection or even in your spare change. The 1982 penny is just one example of how valuable a coin can be when you take the time to look for errors and unique features. If you have a collection of pennies or even some loose change, be sure to check for these rare varieties. You might just be holding onto a goldmine. Host smiles at the camera, with a stack of pennies on the desk. Host: that's all for today's video, folks. I hope you're as excited as I am about the potential value of the 1982 double die penny. Who would have thought that something as small as a penny could be worth so much? If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about rare and valuable coins, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another exciting discovery. Host gives a thumbs up. Host: thanks for watching, and as always, happy hunting, and happy collecting.